your next one, I better show you this. You're going to line it up upside down from what it was before. So you're lining it up with the stitching line on the opposite side. Get the edge ready over here, even. Cut that one. There's your second one. Your third one. Get your 3.5-inch line down there. This one's a little hard to see because it's a red line and it's on red fabric. But I think it's going to look really good when I get it done. 3. And here is our last one. Get our 3.5 line. Hope you can see this. Sometimes I get so busy working I forget to watch the monitor. So there are 4, and we will get ready and iron these open and then make our block. We are ready to iron our strips. Make sure and take those few little stitches loose. If you just kind of jiggle them, they will come apart. And then I iron them toward the dark in this instance. I'm going to just steam them. Turn my heat up a little bit. Open it and gently bump it open. Get my next one down here. Steam it. Pull the red up and gently bump it open. You don't want to stretch it. Remember, this seam that is already sewn is a bias seam. You did not have to deal with the bias edges because we sewed it together and then cut it. And so that's good for beginners. You don't have to deal with anything stretching that shouldn't. So we have our 4 pinwheels together. We're going to put them in the block. I believe it's this direction. Bump, bump, bump. There we go. We're going to get our pinwheel block together next. For the next step, putting the center of our block together. Now we're working on this 4 patch in the middle, the little pinwheel. We want to get our pieces in order just like they are on the picture. So get you a picture and put it up in front of you. Match it up to the picture. Continually match it up to the picture. Make sure you've got everything right. Now, I always take the one on the right and put it on the left so the side facing the sewing machine is the one I'm going to sew. I want to take the right one and put it on the left. You have the seams at the bottom that have to meet. The top is just plain fabric, but the bottom seams have to meet. So I'm just going to flip it where those are at the top. I would rather tackle that first than to wait till I get on into the block and have a problem with it. So I'm going to nestle these seams against one another. Get your top of your fabrics even, the right edges even, and nestle them. Then I'm going to put them under my presser foot. Make sure your right side's even. And sew that scant 1/4-inch seam. Once you get a couple of stitches in, put your needle down and run down here to the bottom. Get your bottom corners even. And just stitch to the bottom. Then we get our next one ready. Get those seams together, the top edges together, the right edges together. Match those seams, nestle them real good in there. Start sewing, come down to the bottom, get your bottom points even. And sew to the bottom. So I have 2 sets ready, and I'm ready to go to the ironing board. But I want to show you which direction you're going to iron them. If you open this out, this seam is going this way, and this seam is going this way. They're going clockwise. You want to iron that middle seam in the same direction the other 2 are going. Same thing with this one. This one and this one are going clockwise, so you want to make this one go the same direction. So we'll iron those that way now and then get ready to do the next step. Now I've ironed all of my seams going in the same direction. I've put them in position and compared them to the picture, and they do make the correct pinwheel. I'm going to take the top one and put it down on the bottom one. You want to nestle these center seams together. Get your outer edges and your right edge even. And start sewing a few stitches, and then leave your needle down and stop. This next step is a little bit tricky, and I want to make sure you see it. I may have to change the camera shot for you. I want to pull the seams together in the center like they should be, nestle them. And I'm going to use my seam ripper to hold them in place, and I'm going to readjust my camera before I go any further here. Okay, we're going to try from this angle. I've gotten my top edge and my right edge even. I've taken a couple of stitches and my needle is down. Now right here is where all of those seams are going to meet. I'm going to lift my top one up and peep under there. I want to visually line that up and nestle it, okay? I want to actually pull it down in place. Then I'm going to take my seam ripper and slide underneath all of this and press down where that 1/4 inch seam will wind up. And you get better at this as you go. I'm holding that in place with my seam ripper. As I get closer, I'm going to readjust. Make sure everything's in place. Slide that seam ripper in there and press. I'm just pressing down with the point. You can do this with a stiletto, whatever you've got that will work. And I've got a string that wants to get in our way. Remove that. Okay. Now, when I get close, I've still got my seam ripper mashing down, but I'm going to peel this back with my fingers until I can see. I want to sew to that seam line. I can see my needle is right at it, and then back up a few stitches. And we're going to take it and trim these threads. Then we're going to flip it over. We just sewed this seam. Now we're going to sew it from the other direction to the center. Start at the outside edges, take a few stitches, and put a little pressure on it and make sure this is all lined up. Get almost to it. Take your seam ripper in there and press down. Sometimes you'll have to actually go in there and move that out of your way. But you want to get as close to that seam line as you can without catching the other side. Back up just a little bit. If you don't get close enough, sometimes you'll have a little opening. This is what we're wanting. Now, there's a trick to ironing this the same way we did before. We want all of these seams going in the same direction. So we want to press them all clockwise, and you'll have a little top knot here, and I'll show you how to take care of that.